It started with a bang, but not the kind anyone expected. A technician was working the late shift at a mid-sized plastics manufacturing plant. He was performing a routine changeover on an injection molding machine, something he'd done hundreds of times before. But that night, a minor hydraulic leak that had gone unreported caused a pool of fluid to form near the base. When he stepped around the machine, his boot slipped. He reached out instinctively, grabbing a nearby pipe for support. That pipe wasn't anchored. It was part of a temporary system rigged earlier in the week to bypass a faulty cooling line. It tore loose, struck his shoulder, and knocked him to the floor. He was lucky. A dislocated shoulder and fractured wrist. It could have been much worse. When the incident was reviewed, it wasn't a single error that caused it. It was a series of missed observations. A leak that hadn't been tagged. A temporary fix no one thought to follow up on. A floor condition left unnoticed. Not one glaring hazard, but several small ones hiding in plain sight. Manufacturing environments are filled with motion, repetition, and machinery that demands our full attention. But it's not always the fast-moving press or the robotic arm that causes harm. Sometimes it's the quiet hazard that's been there too long. The frayed wire, the poorly lit corridor, the missing bolt someone meant to report but didn't. Unlike construction sites, where hazards move and shift with the environment, manufacturing risks often settle into patterns. This creates a different kind of danger. When we do the same task the same way every day, our minds can drift. We stop observing because we think we've already seen it. This is where safety observations matter most. Because in manufacturing, the assumption that everything's the same is exactly what can lead to an incident. Let's talk about line of sight. In many plants, workers focus tightly on their station. They're trained to monitor pressure gauges, part feeds, conveyor flow, but often aren't taught to look around and see the whole picture. What's behind them? Above them? Near their feet? In one real case in the UK, a worker at a food processing plant suffered serious burns after slipping on a patch of oil that had leaked from a mixing unit overhead. The catch tray meant to prevent this had been removed during cleaning and never reinstalled. Several shifts passed before someone noticed, or rather didn't notice, that it was missing. There's another dynamic at play in manufacturing: noise. In many plants, hearing protection is mandatory, and rightly so, but that muffled environment can also muffle awareness. A failing bearing, a hissing pipe, or a co-worker calling out from the next station might go unheard. Safety observations in manufacturing must include auditory cues, and when those are missing due to PPE, visual and procedural checks become even more critical. Let's go to Germany for another example. In a metal stamping facility, a worker performing die changes noticed the press had a slight delay in shutdown during test cycles. He mentioned it casually to a teammate, but didn't file a report. The teammate didn't follow up. A week later, during a tooling adjustment, the same press failed to stop in time, crushing the operator's hand. Investigation found the delay had worsened and gone unaddressed. That initial observation, that tiny instinct that something's off, was the early warning sign. The miss wasn't in recognizing it. The miss was in not acting on it. Observation isn't just about sight, it's about communication. The best manufacturing plants have built-in moments to pause and ask, did anything seem different today? Whether it's through end-of-shift huddles, logbook notes, or digital reporting systems, the chance to document and respond to small changes can catch risks before they escalate. One facility in Ontario introduced a Tag It Forward program. If a worker noticed something, a sticky control button, a warped conveyor belt, a flickering light above an emergency exit, they tagged it and noted who they told. That person was then responsible for following up or retagging. This created a visible trail of accountability and an unexpected bonus, a sense of shared responsibility. Within 3 months, near miss reporting increased by 80% and maintenance response times improved across all shifts. Another often missed area? Housekeeping. It sounds simple, but poor housekeeping can hide or create hazards. A cluttered workbench, a part left unsecured on a high shelf, a tool with a worn grip placed near the edge of a workstation. These aren't dramatic failures, but they're the details that make or break safety. Observing these, correcting them, and modeling that behavior changes culture from the ground up. And we can't forget automation. As more manufacturing lines introduce robotics and smart machinery, the risks change shape. Light curtains, safety interlocks, proximity sensors, they all work until they don't. A bypassed guard here, a faulty reset there. We've seen cases where a technician stepped into a cell assuming it was powered down, only to discover a maintenance mode had been left active. It takes one overlooked observation to turn a routine inspection into a life-changing incident. So how do we train better safety observations in manufacturing? First, we slow down. Not the production line, but the mental pace. Encourage workers to take 60 seconds at the start of their shift to scan, not just their tools and materials, but their environment. Ask them, what's new? What changed? What looks wrong? Second, make observation a shared practice, not a solo burden. Use team walkabouts. Create anonymous reporting options for newer workers afraid to speak up. Build mentorship pairings where experienced staff model what noticing looks like. Finally, reward it. Not with pizza parties, but with feedback that matters. Let someone know their observation prevented downtime. Show them the maintenance log where their report triggered action. Highlight their vigilance in front of peers. Make seeing and saying something part of your performance culture. Manufacturing doesn't have to feel routine. Safety doesn't have to be reactive. When people are encouraged to really see, not just do their work, they become more than operators. They become protectors. So here's your challenge. Tomorrow, when you walk the floor, whether it's your first day or your 5,000th, pretend it's brand new. What looks out of place? What's been overlooked? What would you tell a new worker to watch for? And are you watching for it yourself? What you observe today might just be the reason someone makes it home safely tonight. In our next episode, we'll step into the world of healthcare where safety observations come with a unique complexity, protecting both workers and patients. But the principle remains the same. It starts with seeing what others miss. See you there. And we appreciate you sharing these videos and love that you have joined our community.